You must have seller's disclosure and lead-based paint. Everyone knows that, right?
Yeah.
Or property information disclosure, or property, I mean, every state calls them something different. Okay? Those are the required things that you must have the seller sign. Now, here's what I do. When you're doing a sandwich lease option, you also are required to give a seller's disclosure and a lead-based paint to a tenant buyer, right? You've never lived in the house. You don't know anything about this. So what I do, if it's my first tenant buyer and I don't know anything about the house, I just give them a copy of the seller's disclosure and lead-based paint, and I have them initial it. And it'll say, you know, from the previous seller. So that way I am disclosing everything I know. If the seller has a copy of it, you're going to get the seller to get you a copy of this. They have to fill this out. It's the law. So you have to get this from them. And every state, you might, if you're not in Michigan, I mean, in Michigan we call it seller's disclosure. In other states they might call it a seller's, you know, information sheet. Like they're all the same thing. They're just called something slightly different. Okay, you got to get that, and you can get that from a real estate agent. They're all standard, but those are easy. And the lead-based paint, you can get that from the HUD website. All right. Here's some other paperwork that I use with a seller: a memorandum of option. Okay, this is like a memorandum of a land contract. When you let the world know this, once I sign a deal with the seller and I find my buyer, because I don't start till I find a buyer. Once I find the buyer, then I record what's called a memorandum of option. And this is a notarized document. In order to be recorded anywhere in the country, you gotta have it notarized, and it's signed by the seller. What this does is it clouds the seller's title. So they can't go sell it to somebody else. They can't go refinance it. It encumbers that title. Okay? And that's real important. Now, I don't fill out one of these between me and my tenant buyer, only me and the seller. And I get a mortgage authority or a bank authorization, you might call it, which the seller would sign, that gives me access to know if there's a mortgage on the property, the status of it. Now, I told you before that I make the payments directly to the mortgage company from my rent. So I'm going to make those payments. But I still want to make sure that those payments are being received and credited properly. So I want to have access to the mortgage loan. Affidavit of owner lien rights. This is like a sworn statement. Basically, if you go to a closing anywhere right now and you were the seller, you would probably have to sign some type of sworn statement to say, have you done any work on the property lately? Or do you owe any contractors? Or are there liens or things coming up that maybe are not recorded that you know should be or will be? If you've sold a property, you'll know. Or if you've bought a property, this gets signed by a seller. And so I want them. Now, is it bulletproof? No. But is it a good thing to have? Yes. Basically, just ask that seller to disclose information that they have. All right? Okay, so that's the paperwork part of it. The affidavit of a sworn statement, that is also probably something you could get through a title company or closing company.